'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la.
After vacationing across America and throughout Europe,
Take it,
Dan!
this holiday season,
fa la 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 la.
The Wetzels.
are going to play it safe.
Dan, Sherrone's got a butter knife.
You asked interrogative questions out of my face. It's gone.
What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might qualify them, Mel.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Hey, kids, it's your old pal. Back from a long vacation. I missed you guys, and by you I mean the listeners, because, no offense, but Marc's no treat. Sean's not here. Eric I kind of missed, but she's under the weather. And I did miss Dan Wetzel, but I kind of feel like I spent the holidays with Dan Wetzel, because every time I turned around, I was reading another big scoop from Dan, who has been watching the growing pustule that is U of M sports that finally ruptured into a maize-colored ochre.
Wow.
Ochre-colored, whatever it is. Anyways, there's all kinds of
paint a picture.
Goo all over the place. And so we wanted to have Dan come in, because one of the reasons we do this show is to take you behind the scenes of journalism, let you know what it's like to do these jobs, and from time to time to ride that wave. And Dan, I don't know what you had planned for the holidays, but if you had plans for the holidays, I think you owe everybody in the Wetzel family an apology or a trip to Great Wolf Lodge or some shit like that.
It's really the way you apologize. I mean,
Yeah, when I worked at Channel 2, we had our photographers occasionally would help out with the advertising department, and one of the guys was sent out to do some shoots at Great Wolf Lodge, and the person who was doing the promo said, "Okay, I think we're good." He's like, "No." It's like, "What do you mean? It was perfect. It was a perfect take." He's like, "No, take a look at the video again." They'd go, every time they did it, there was like somebody wearing inappropriate clothes covered in tattoos walking into the shot, and they're like, "Yeah, that's Great Wolf Lodge, man."
That's so the Sandusky, Ohio Great Wolf Lodge is when you realize the neck tattoo is far more popular than you would have thought.
Yeah, this is not South Beach up north.
A lot of people were getting that panther on the neck. Thought that was a good call.
My one rule in life: never mess with somebody that has a tattoo, neck or higher.
Neck or higher, yeah.
That's a different level of intensity that I see.
All the names crossed out on their arms, me and Tanya forever. It's like, not Tanya now.
Yeah. That's not Tanya next to me. It was like, wasn't that the joke? Like, COVID can't get me. I used to vacation at the Great Wolf Lodge.
Yeah. I think that's where it started.
Great Wolf Lodge is a good time. You just got to go with it. It's a good time.
Yeah, our sponsors, by the way, are Luke Nowak and Pinnacle Wealth Strategies. Not Great Wolf Lodge.
Could be, though. Could be.
Maybe if this gets cleaned up.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
Post.
We would do a live show there
I mean,
if they paid
on.
us.
Yeah, you drive down there every week and do it.
And we'd have a blast.
We come back
Too
smelling like...
good for the Great Wolf Lodge?
What a snob.
It's a fun time.
Come back smelling like chlorine and neosporin. That's not my idea of a good time, but hey, that's me. I went to Vegas, so who am I?
So needless to say, you did not go to the Great Wolf Lodge or anywhere over vacation because you were busy tied to your phone, like you usually are, though.
Yeah, so obviously this year there was a lot of scandal at Michigan, or a lot of.
What do you mean
tumult.
this year?
Well, it has been a bumper crop lately.
It's good for business.
It's good for business. But there's usually one somewhere. So if you cover sports and crime, it's like being crime writer.
Yeah, never
like
stops.
I started my career. I was like an intern at the Chicago Tribune, and I covered. They wanted me to do crime, and so I'd come in every morning
in Chicago.
Yeah, and cut at 8 a.m.
Not much to do there.
Yeah, and go through the police reports, and there'd always be like 2 murders. Like, there were more Americans got killed in Chicago during the Gulf War than in the Gulf War.
Oh, my God.
Right? So Chicago, there'd be 3-4 murders a day. And so by 8 a.m., and you just pick and try to figure it out, and then you try to go write about the best one.
But the difference is...
And so you never worried, like, what if there isn't a murder?
Yeah.
Okay? Because it wasn't any big city. It'd be the same in Detroit. Like, a safe falls out of a building, or there's a fire. There's always going to be something. So you don't really worry about it. So college football or the NFL, there's going to be some stuff, whether it's like Lane Kiffin acting up
But it's far more competitive to break stuff.
It is hard
in
yeah.
that. So you can't look away for a second.
No, you cannot. So like, yeah, and even just like the hiring of Kyle Whittingham, that was like Christmas night at like 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. Christmas.
When did it break?
It's like I think we broke it at like 7 the next morning.
So, but you could have broke it Christmas night.
We would have been right, but we weren't. We weren't
100%.
Well, yeah, you want to be right.
Is that
You always want to be right.
Well, there really weren't any
But
other coaches available, so I mean,
Yeah, but he took Christmas. He wasn't doing any negotiating on Christmas.
Yeah. Well, you hear. I mean, I think the tweet would be like,
I think we
has
said
emerged.
Focus.
Yeah,
Emerged is the focus. Yeah, we got to hedge a little bit.
Wink and a nod.
Hedge a little bit. Yeah. Always be specifically correct. Always be generally correct. Never specifically wrong. That's a journalism motto.
Well, last time we did kind of a you were there recreation moment. It was Michigan State's pursuit of Luke Fickell, and I think they had the same thing where Jim Comparoni at Spartan Mag and David Harns at Spartans Illustrated were reporting things like Luke Fickell's getting on a plane to East Lansing. We're not saying he's getting hired, but
nothing better than a flight tracker.
They're booking a flight, and
I don't like specifically putting someone in a spot either.
Yeah. But it was accurate. He was looking to fly to East Lansing. He just kind of diverted to Madison.
He flew right over it.
Yeah.
That's how the Earth curvature.
And I don't know whether we're better off or worse off. I don't think Mel Tucker was better, but I'm not sure that Luke Fickell was the answer either. But Whittingham might be.
Whittingham is a good, solid hire. I mean, he's a very good coach, and also what they need that'll be the end of the. Never say never.
Yeah.
But
not a Michigan man.
Jay could return
At all.
It's never say never. Not a Michigan man, but he is, that guy is straight-laced. So, he'll be driving around his Harley. He's got an old pickup truck.
skiing,
working out every day for years.
I know my first thought was, oh boy, that guy's old. And then I realized that guy is in way better shape than I am.
Yeah.
And he's, 16 years older than me.
Any chance of be speeding around that pickup truck with an unlicensed gun under the seat? Probably not. I
would think he would follow all local ordinances.
I would think so. He seems like a pretty solid citizen.
Until he's lost to Ohio State, would it matter?
No.
Like, as long as you're beating Ohio State, then the weapons charges tend to go away.
So what were you doing did you have holiday plans? Chris, you're always working, so I got to imagine you have a use it or lose it vacation policy at the end of the year. Although, I don't know, a new guy at ESPN, does that mean you work all the holidays?
You got to build up your thing. No, look at most sports writers had it. They're at the Lions.
Sure, bowl season,
travel,
CFP.
Yeah, right. So you worked weekends and.
Well, and your old colleague Ross Dellinger had to break news. I think at a bachelor party there was
one time we were doing conference realignment. The Big Ten was breaking up, or they were adding. No, they were adding.
They only get bigger.
So Ross was hosting. He's the host. He's the best man of this wedding, like boyhood friend. It's the middle of June, so you kind of plan
safe area.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm like, go ahead. We're working on it, and. Those were tough because it's like these are big moves, obviously. So we're waiting on to see whether Oregon and Washington were going to go, and we had broken it in the morning that they were close. I can't remember the thing. We had broken that part that there were schools of interest, whatever the heck it was going to be. But then he literally was on a river raft. Floating down this river by Austin, Texas, and he gets a call. His phone actually works. And someone calls him and is like, we're doing it. And he calls me, he's like, we're doing it. I'm on the raft. And it like clucks out. I'm like, boom, we go with the story. Of like,
he hit a hydraulic. He's over the side.
It's got about 6 tequilas in him down a river. It's journalism. We do this so we don't have to grow up.
Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of lucky because at most bachelor parties, you can't have a phone in those places.
Yeah.
Especially with camera
he was on a river. He was on the river.
Okay.
This is the daytime activity.
Oh, I got you.
He's floating down a river.
So, but let's go back even further because you broke.
But were you planning to work? Did this just mean you're doing?
No, it was
a
like
different
10 o'clock
story,
at night
or?
at Christmas night. That one was just
the Whittingham hire.
Yeah, I was just sitting in my living room.
But you also broke the Sherrone Moore.
The Sherrone Moore one was. So what was that? That was like a Wednesday.
So
Tuesday or Wednesday. That was just a regular day.
It was a Wednesday. Yeah, about Wednesday evening.
No, it was like like
4
afternoon.
4, yeah.
It's kind of like news desert. Like nothing is going on.
You just
It's
wait.
very quiet.
See, you never know who's going to text, or you never know who's going to call. Or
But
you never
that's
know.
what's interesting. So, I mean, and we've talked before. There were so many rumors about him, but it wasn't really a thing until it's somebody that works at the university, specifically underneath him. You know, pun intended.
Stay classy. Stay classy, Ann Arbor.
But you can't report on a rumor, right? Did you know that there was an investigation that asked them about it? Had you heard?
I had heard
whispers?
that there was an investigation, and they had denied the investigation.
And that's where the story ends.
It's a tricky one. So unless you get paperwork, in my opinion, I look. There's one person in this room won a Pulitzer Prize, and it isn't me. So I'll defer to
Sean's not
Guess
here.
what though? He got a pay cut.
Yeah, you got a pay cut for that.
And mine was for plagiarism. So we just reprinted text messages.
It doesn't matter.
But you got him.
But you got the text messages, right? So in my opinion,
I'll come back to that in a minute.
On something like this, you tell me, where there's an investigation, I want to see the paperwork that there was an investigation. Because the term investigation is extremely loose.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did they bring in an outside law firm? Did they interview 40 people? Or did someone say, hey, what's going on with you and the girl? What? Okay, that's it. Like, what was there? And so you can't be wrong and say there was an investigation into whether Sherrone Moore is sleeping with his assistant, someone in the office. Like that's a bull. Now, if you have paperwork that there was an actual thing, that I think then you could report that. But other than that, you don't really have it. And they're saying, and then, look, I'm very suspicious of everything, as we do,
Yes.
right? We don't really believe the official narrative, but like people are like, oh, Michigan waited to fire him, or they were covering it up. They weren't covering it up. Like they did do what you're supposed to do. If everyone's going to lie, what do you do?
Well, they did hire.
Well, you check his emails, you check
did
his
that.
texts, you put a
Right, they
investigator on him, you follow him. I mean, it sounds like
You
he was
follow
going to
him?
her place. Sure. Yeah, you hire PIs.
But they did hire an outside
They
law
did do
firm.
that. They did not follow, as far as I know. But again, who knows? And maybe they stopped. But the big thing with an affair is like you could always just stop.
Mm-hmm.
Which he obviously should have, and he'd still be the coach.
Well, it kind of sounded like they did because
she
there were
was
conflicting
trying.
reports. They called it off and then got back together.
Yeah,
and
I
then
don't know.
finally, that final.
Anyway, it's very dicey trying to report something like that because it's like, what is an investigation? What is an affair? What is how do I know that, what?
So I don't know how much.
Until you got like video, like how do I know what the heck
Didn't
happened?
they also say that they did an investigation and everybody denied it and they had no proof, so they closed the investigation without a finding?
I think they brought in then they brought in the outside firm.
Yes.
But then they had an HR investigation. And then as my understanding, they had rehired an outside firm or hired an outside firm, but that investigation hadn't
Concluded
or gotten very
And that's
far.
who she reported it to. She didn't report it to the university.
It's
That
either
was my
HR
understanding.
or I don't know.
I want to come back really quickly to a point because I hear from my Spartan friends about the blue wall and all that other bullshit. But, Spartans, God
Blue
bless them, are always like, oh, we're always getting screwed. I'm like, you sound like Wolverines. Shut the hell up. But we had the text messages months before we reported that Mayor Kilpatrick had committed perjury under oath because once you have stuff, you need to confirm it. You can't just do that. And for people who heard, dude, I heard for years that he and Christine Beatty were kicking it. And my philosophy is screw who you want, just don't screw the taxpayers. But until we had text messages where somebody said, I love you, we're like, well, they're old friends. That must mean something. We got to get the bell ready, by the way. And then when it said, okay, I love you, oh, well, they're old friends. People say it. Then it said, damn, you got some mad oral skills. And we're like, okay, I think we might be on to something pretty definitive here. But
what's your opinion?
you
then
need
on-
some time to confirm this stuff. And for everybody saying that the media was sitting on this Sherrone Moore story, until you have something, particularly something that seismic, dead nuts.
But
you
it's gotta be
report it.
annoying,
You
though.
can't report
Exactly.
it. And you take the shit on the back end because when you're wrong forever. And if it takes a little longer to be right, it's worth the time.
Do you get annoyed though when it's one of those things where it's an open secret, everybody knew, and it's on Reddit? I mean, you can't beat rumors, right? You can't beat Reddit.
Well, that's just how it is. I mean, you can't. Again, like I totally agree. Even if you you had to say, well, who's sending me these text messages? You have to be so like there's right. You've heard of the term like useful idiot, right? Mm-hmm. So. Like
I think that was what we're going to call this show.
Yeah, I would be quite prone to being the useful idiot because I'm an idiot.
I mean, because of us, not because of your class.
Right, no, but like you got to make sure, well, maybe someone slipped you fake text messages. Where are these coming from? There's so many things you have to go through.
Ask Dan Rather about the George Bush National Guard memo. Yeah. Cost him his career.
Okay, so let's go back to the day where you get a message from somebody. I don't know how much you trusted the first thing you saw that, hey, Sherrone has been let go. But can you take us through the steps then? Like, how do you follow up with trusted people inside?
I mean, I've known this guy was nuts since the Penn State game, but I wouldn't have reported that he was having an affair.
How do you verify it? Because you got it out there before there was an official statement.
You need more than one. You just, as an exercise, you just need more than one person to tell you that. Now, the problem with some of those things is it's a very small circle, and then it's also like, what's a trusted? Would this person know? Like, no. Mm-hmm. Okay, so like, look, if it's Sherrone Moore
from the other,
let's say Sherrone Moore had called me and just said, "Hey, look, man, I just I did this and I just got fired and I'm walking out right now." Like, okay, that's one level. Then it's like, if it's just somebody at the school's heard, he's gonna get, and you also have to be really careful of like, where is the information coming from? So like, what you would ideally want in a coach situation, mm-hmm. Let's say they fire. Let's just take it out of Sherrone Moore, but let's just say they fired Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell's not gonna get fired, but let's say Dan Campbell gets fired. Okay, well, you would want to hear from the team and ideally his agent.
Okay.
Or right, you'd want two separate sides. If you hear from three people at the same side, they could just be telling the same rumor to each other.
The backfeeding of information. Yeah,
you have to spend
Okay. I forgot about agents and lawyers.
There's lawyers, there's agents, there's people,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
So you want, ideally, and I think this would be the same case, you'd want, and when you a great journal, if there's someone wants to be a journalist out there, ML's column every week does a really good job of going through the process that you go through. And that's it. You can't just be like, well, I heard this, run it. It's like, no, I tried to call them 3 times. And then when you're calling somebody and like, hey, and you're texting them like, just heard you got fired for having an like, that's going to generate a response. People don't just be like, what? Like, it's not like you want to play golf in March, you know, like it's just like, right. You got to be really specific and try to press. And then, but you want to try to get 2 good sources on the side, just as an exercise. It doesn't mean you can't go with one. It just depends on what that one is. Yeah. You can go
like
with
an
one.
Agent or
right. Or it's like, I'm the president. I'm Sheila Hemp Ford. For some reason calls and says, I just fired. Okay.
I'm on the board of trustees or board of regents at U of M. We're getting a new football coach. That's someone you'd Yeah.
Even then, because it's like someone who works at the school, whether it's someone in the athletic department or like, there's just so many variables. Were you fired? Were you just have to be careful.
And this is for not attribution sources. And I think the general rule is if you have 2 not for attribution sources, which means we don't use their name or their exact title, and they're somewhat independent. So it's not like Fellhauer said that Drew's opening a restaurant and Brandon said it too, because you probably both heard it from the same place. You'd want to know that, I heard from a good source in the athletic department that Sherrone's out. And then I heard from somebody at the Ann Arbor Police Department that they're bringing him in.
Drew's restaurant, I'm the real estate agent for the building. And, you get a second, you got a second guy. Yeah. Because here's the thing, even like someone
you don't want
like
that echo chamber.
Even something powerful like a regent or a city council member or a senator, right? Mm-hmm. Well, there's 100 senators. we were doing the
and they're very political. So
we're
they may have
doing
an
the
agenda.
stuff with the Big Ten and private equity and trying to figure out who was going to vote where. Like USC has like 46 regents or trustees.
Yeah.
Right? So one trustee is telling you, there's no way we're doing this. Well, you're one of 46. I don't know if you're the crank that no one listens to. Penn State's same thing. Some of their trustees are like elected and some are appointed and some are like, some have power and some don't. So you can't just be like, well, a trustee told me. Now at some places that would be, you'd be like, oh, okay, there's like 3 of them that are running this school, or I don't know. You have to really.
That sounds like Michigan.
It takes more. It takes more than. It's just I don't know. You deal with it all the time. You just have to be. You got to be right. Like that's it. You got to be right.
So,
if you're not right, who cares if you're
but
first?
Do you find yourself?
You don't want to be first and wrong.
I mean, college football is such a rumor mill too. Do you find yourself constantly chasing down rumors?
You waste time on stuff, and then it comes out somewhere else.
Because from our perspective, we had heard that, he's fooling around. Like, that's just, Drew and I had heard that. And then it really picks up steam when you lose to Ohio State. That's going to pick up steam.
Well, I had heard that had broken contained to the point where everyone was talking about it.
Yeah, because
so it was like, man,
people wanted him out.
Right.
The joke my buddy said was, I didn't know Christmas was on December 10th now because nobody liked Sherrone.
Everyone wanted him out.
Yeah. So that kind of happened. But what I was getting to, then the rumor that really kicked it into high gear is that he's knocked this woman up. He's got this woman pregnant. Yeah, you want an abortion, which none of that, I don't know if you've
no
even
way
bothered.
I report any of that stuff.
No. I haven't seen that reported anywhere. So.
No, because
but it's going to be. But I think
it makes the story.
I would never report that. I would never.
Blogosphere.
I wouldn't report that if I had the medical rec. I mean, it's just certain things.
Yeah.
You have to treat people with some dignity, and you have to try to do this thing right. And
what do you think? What do you think about when there's a
the
story?
violation is having the relationship. However, it progressed is beyond the point.
I agree.
Yeah, we hit the first milestone, and that's it. We don't need any more.
Right. There's no more details.
We don't know doggy style. Ball gag.
What do you think about when there's reporter? And I don't know if any particular reporter has done this, but when there's
doggy style.
What? No, when they'll put something out there that's
I know we've all taken it that way.
Internet rumors say blah 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 because it kind of absolves them.
So there's all sorts of media now, right?
Yeah.
I always talk to like coaches or like owners and stuff, and I'm like, boy, you guys really hate the media, but guess what? We're better than social media.
Yeah,
the old school media. At least I'm trying to be correct.
One of those examples recently was Trump in Venezuela. I mean, he rails on the New York Times, but after it launches, who does he go to talk to about it?
Right.
The New York Times, because they still have
So that's the way it works. All the half-ass people who put rumor out there, talk about how the mainstream media doesn't have any guts, but the minute we report something they've been talking about, like, see, it must be true because they validate it.
Yeah.
And the corollary is all the other shit you said we didn't validate, so it must not be true. Dan Bongino.
Right. They're always on. There's an economy out there where you are willing and able to be wrong, and there's not a punishment to your. Like if you push the envelope and you're wrong, and
the publisher can't get sued,
or Alex Jones, and you still somehow survive.
That's that's like
this guy's a cockroach,
right? That's the worst. But like, where you're saying like your 8-year-old didn't get murdered. That's a whole nother. But like, you're willing to sit there and say, hey, they're going to hire something totally benign. Mm-hmm. Okay, Dan Campbell's going to get fired or something like that. Well, of course he doesn't. And you just look like, but you actually gain followers and you gain attention. And so there's people willing to do it, and there's a market for that. There's an industry for that. And that's just, I don't really complain about it. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
They can do that. You're at the Detroit Free Press. You're at ESPN. You just can't be wrong. So if I'm wrong, which, everyone in their career has been wrong about stuff because we print what we're told. Mm-hmm. And sometimes things change. And so I've had like the best I had a coach one time say, I am leaving and taking this job tomorrow. And then he didn't. And I got crushed on it. And you're like, everyone's like your sources.
Is it too sore to say who it is?
Yeah, I'm not doing it. Okay. But it was like, Like,
what a dick.
Yeah. And no, next I'm like, what the hell, man? He's like, I changed my mind.
But at the time,
Yeah.
I was, but I didn't. and I learned a lesson there. Thinking about leaving.
Yeah.
Didn't do it.
Yeah.
Did you just walk out of your office and say, I just quit? I'm on the, because people change, things happen. So you just, it's the frustrating part, but the fun part. But you just, I don't know. ML, I mean, you like being wrong on one of these things, even though it would be so gut wrenching. Even something completely, okay, no innocent people would not have died if I had sit there and said, Michigan is zeroed in on Kyle Whittingham, and then they aren't. Okay, okay, whatever. Not, this is a harmless story.
Yeah.
But then they had gone and hired somebody else.
But it's a story.
But I still would have felt like, oh my God, I feel so
many eyeballs are paying attention.
I feel so bad.
Well,
even though nobody got hurt, let alone there's an inappropriate, and that's why that night when it was like
the hopes of a fan might have been
I knew
hurt.
the story of why Sherrone Moore was being detained.
Yeah.
But it was like,
that's what I wanted to ask
this is
you about.
really wild, because did he threaten suicide? Now we're into a whole, do I want to report that? What does that even mean? Who's saying, you just sit there and go, this is all we have. He was detained, and we sat on that for 2 days. A lot of people kind of were putting stuff out, and you wait till the prosecutor in Washtenaw County says, this is what happened. Because you don't want to be wrong, and you don't want to be, part of being right is being fair.
Yeah. Well, that's what you came on Drew's show and said, I just want to be fair to these people.
Yeah, there's a lot happening.
What's
here.
going on? Yeah,
there's kids and there's.
We should also point out that he's still innocent until proven guilty. These are all still just charges.
Absolutely,
So,
and the charges are really one person's word against his, right? So you got to see how that all plays out. I don't know. I don't care. Something. I mean, he shouldn't have gone over a house, and he terrorized just showing up, but.
Makes it a more
but
incredible
it's all
story.
innocent until
What
proven
is
guilty.
doing?
Until you get into trials, ML certainly covered trials. All of a sudden, a lot of stuff that gets thrown out there by prosecutors on any case, anything that's in indictments. All of a sudden, there'll be entire charges will get dropped.
Yep.
They'll we charged them with 46 counts, and then at the end they convict them of 3. And they all high five, and it's like, what about the other 43 things you just accused this guy of doing that you couldn't prove, didn't even try?
Well,
he won 43-3, but he's
the most heinous charges usually get dropped, and they get you on something like wire fraud, and you're like, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
or
right.
Tax evasion. It's like, no, you took bribes. It's like, well, I didn't report mine. So it's a tax charge?
Yeah, they back this stuff down, and so you again, you don't want to. You just got to try to. It's not the era for try to be reasonable but
no.
The way it works, and of course nobody cares about the media crying about our plight, but if you're on social media, every time you get something right, you brag about that. You never talk about the ones you get wrong. If you're in the mainstream media, you get something wrong once, and that's all anybody ever wants to talk about. And we talked about it on this show. I reported that Mary Sheffield, who's now our mayor, had her windows tinted on her city car. That was based on information provided to me by the city of Detroit that maintains the vehicles. It knows everything about the vehicles, has a complete history record. It turned out not to be wrong, not through any fault of my own. We corrected it promptly. And 12 years later, she and her dad are still mad about it. So that's what happens when you make a mistake, even when it's not your mistake. It follows you. The worst case of BO you've ever had, and everybody smells it and points at you, and the rude ones will say, Stinky over there got something wrong 12 years ago. We can't trust anything they've ever done. I'm like, I'm batting .995. Ted Williams would hate my ass because of my batting average, and there's other people out there who are like, there's one time you looked at a third strike, you suck.
Yeah.
And that's what we deal with, and that's fine, because in our jobs, we're dealing with people's reputation, and you have to be meticulous and scrupulous about that. And so sometimes it takes a little while to report these stories, and people think you're in the bag or you're covering up. It's like,
why would I be in the bag?
Trying to be responsible. Yeah.
What do I get out of why would I do that? I'll give you one before I say this, but people, they view it when you're on the other side. So if I was in crisis management, I would do the same thing. you could print, the Free Press could print a corruption story of, you could done the whole Kwame Kilpatrick story. And if I find one thing wrong, right? One thing, you said my car was a Chevy Tahoe and I was actually driving a whatever, something else.
A Blazer.
This is wrong.
Yeah.
This report is riddled with mistakes, all this stuff. And they want to do is make it like it's a chain, like you're holding a chain. And if one link breaks,
it's
the
the
chain
loose
drops.
thread. Yeah.
Instead, it's a rope. And if one thread frays, the rope is still strong. Yeah. But what they want to do is go the other way. So you can't give them that. Mm-hmm. You can't give them the small thing because they'll just torch your whole story. That the overall arching thing is, Kwame was corrupt as hell. That was the story.
Doesn't make it
right, but he's going to be yelling about. You said I don't drive a 96 Tahoe. I drive a 94 Tahoe.
Get something this simple wrong, you're going to get the big thing wrong.
You can't get anything right.
They have the press conference like, take a look at this. This is my car. What else?
Right. What
else did they get wrong?
Yeah, you plant that seed.
Right. Mm-hmm. You just can't. You can't give them that. And so, and I'll get these ones too, where like they want you to do, investigate like a really wild story, right? Or something. Like I'll give you one. Like there's an element of people out there. There's a small crowd that thinks that they believe that like Jerry Sandusky was wrongly convicted. Jerry Sandusky's innocent. Okay. So
is that Nambla who thinks?
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Franco Harris.
I'm like, all right, let me look into this, right? And then I'll be like, it's not really enough there. Or I did another one with this guy who he's in prison for a murder, and he didn't do it. And I look into it, and then it's like, I think he did.
Yeah, Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, something like that. But then they'll be like, you're just too scared. You're just covering it up. Like, if I could prove
you would rather
if
have
I
that
could come up with
story,
a story that told you that actually Jerry Sandusky was innocent.
Yeah.
This would be the best, professionally, like, holy crap, what a story that is, right?
The Manoogian Mansion party.
This famous murder didn't happen, right? That'd be huge.
Oh,
I'm not, what would be my motivation to be like, I just would.
Both ML Elric and Charlie Duff have told me, it's like, if that Mansion story and killing of Strawberry was true, we both would have killed to have that story.
Get the gong ready in this case.
Did the party not happen? Or
after the text message story broke, we had multiple people contacting us and saying, pretty good story, but why are you still covering up the Manoogian Mansion party? I'm like, wait a minute. We passed up on that story?
We're not passing up.
To say that he sent some naughty texts? I mean, you got to be kidding me.
I mean, that one's tricky because there were parties. There just was not that party.
Yeah,
with the fight.
My favorite about that whole thing, and
there was no party, by the way.
There was no party. Even I've seen Kwame.
Why are you still covering up for him?
Kwame's actually believable on that one. I've sing him actually discuss.
Well, the problem is everything else he did.
That's the one you believe.
But even every once in a while, you're like, I think he might be telling the truth on that one. I was like, he's got a good point on that. That's my thing. I'm open to all things. My favorite was the coverage back then, and I was just living in Detroit, reading the stories, right? But you guys would always refer to the
Where is Sean when I need him?
Entertainer Strawberry, like
exotic dancer.
Like
everyone
like
knows.
you use a nickname because you don't like. You're like, I don't know, like
Charo.
Right. Goes by his Prince's first. You don't Prince's first name, whatever that guy. What was Prince's name? I don't know. Right. You don't just print that to make me go. The artist known as Prince, right?
Yeah.
Also known as Prince. Bob Ritchie, right? Kid Rock. Oh yeah, I know that guy. Like, is
Marshall
she famous
Mathers.
around town? I've never heard. I don't know her, but is she so famous? Oh, Strawberry. How many people were reading the paper going, I never heard that name?
Fortunately, she is now in death. Yeah.
Strawberry, most famous dancer in town.
Yeah. Well,
Entertainer.
Entertainer to Strawberry.
One of the tips I got is that the other dancers were part of a group called the Mercedes Ladies, and one was known as Mo Money, another one was Pleasure Girl, and I think the third one was Electric.
Oh yeah, perfect.
And one of my colleagues at the time had a penchant for some of the black strip clubs, and I said, "Hey, dude, do you know these names? Because if anybody did, he would." And he's like, "Those names are whack." So yeah,
okay.
That was it just didn't check out. But Dan reminded me of something talking about the coach who said, "I'm going to do this." A story I haven't thought about in years, but this is how tricky our business could be. This was before cell phones were ubiquitous, and I was doing a story where a prosecutor told me a fairly prominent person was going to plead guilty to something. And I was at the prosecutor's office, which is a small office, and they said, hey, you know what? They're in the lobby. You've got to get in this closet because I got to meet with them. And I'm in this supply closet. I'm looking at the Post-it notes, the legal pads, the pens, all this other shit, typewriter ribbon because this is in the 90s. And then eventually he comes and says, okay, you can leave. And I'm like, okay, thanks. That was different. So I go back. I file my story. So-and-so is going to enter a plea deal. We go to court the next day. Person pleads guilty. And I caught up with them and they said, oh my God, I was trying to call you all last night. They backed out of it. After you left the office, they changed their mind, but no cell phones. I couldn't get a hold of you, all this other shit. But then when they came to court in the morning, they're like, you know what, I think I'm going to take the deal. So you were right, but you were
wrong for a while there.
And I was like, oh my God. And then there was another case where this is a very prominent person. I nailed him on a bunch of shit. This small fry in their case didn't plead guilty to something. Their company pleaded guilty to something. And I reported that so-and-so, how does a company plead? What do they bring a building in there? It says, hey, you got me. My roof is leaking. I don't know. And it was a small thing. And I went back to the price and said, well, no, they pled guilty. Right? I said, well, no, they actually, it was no contest, whatever it was. It was a very, very minor thing. Person still was going to face consequences, also the shit. The very prominent person saw an opportunity to get me. And they went all over town. They took out ads saying, when is the Concord Monitor going to stop their crusade of persecution? And they talked the editor in the paper into doing a front page correction. I'm like, we never did those. But when you get even the smallest thing, like Dan said, is it a Blazer or a Tahoe? They're both Chevys, folks.
Say he had a car.
So that's why, yeah, exactly. That's why you people
generally correct.
You see people say vehicle. Was it a Segway?
Yeah,
was it?
No, he got there somehow. A pair of sneakers.
Yeah. Was it that skateboard that Marty McFly had? It was a vehicle. It was a conveyance. That it's so hard. But you did just some amazing work. I know you got to go because you're breaking another big story. I should warn the Free Press Sports Department. But Sherrone Moore story, huge. Whittingham. I mean, I hope you're going to get a break.
Yeah, no. I mean, we're not digging cold.
And more importantly, was it you or Thamel? Because every report was reported by Dave.
Sometimes.
What a team you guys are.
It was when Pete worked at Yahoo with me and Pat Forty. We did a long scandal of college basketball. The FBI had arrested all these. Yep. And we would every single story was a triple byline to try to throw off.
Oh, who had the key source? Yeah.
Wait, explain that. Explain how that works.
So one of us would get a tip on something. So this was a case where the FBI.
It's a massive case that ended with nothing.
Yeah, ridiculous. Did this? They were going to catch.
Probably for shit that's legal now.
All
in
legal.
College sports.
Guys went to prison and literally got out and then it was legal. Yeah.
Side note: there was a little bit of a ramification for Harbaugh because the NCAA changed their rules that made the head coach responsible for everything underneath him. Right? That came out of it.
Yeah,
because of Bill Self.
I was under the impression that Jim Harbaugh wasn't responsible for anything, but that's another story for another day.
I know. That guy is so persecuted.
Poor guy. Does he even know? Does he even remember?
No, he doesn't.
I will say this. One time, one of the things he was accused of and found guilty of was being not forthcoming and distracted in an interview with the NCAA investigators. I'm like,
that's him. Have you ever seen the guy talk?
I ask him, are you, what do you think of the Michigan State game Saturday? Opportunity for men to compete. He grunt out that answer in a press conference. Of course he was vague. Vague and aloof. So I was like, guilty as charged. I'm not sure he's guilty of what you're saying, but he definitely was.
Definitely good for business, though.
Anyway, there was this huge thing. So there's
NBA
10 defendants, and there's prosecutors, and there's lawyers, and there's this, and there's that, and there's FBI, and all these things. So, one of us would get something along the way. I mean, we're talking probably hundreds of stories over 2 years. And we just triple byline everything because then they can't figure it out. And then if we got something, you always have to be wary when you're dealing anything with the feds because they could try to, like, if there's a gag order. So then we'd call like
they can be prosecuted for talking about.
Yeah.
A case.
So then we call everybody, and then make it so that if they ever invest, like every attorney got calls, make 40 calls, even though it wasn't gonna. We already had the story and it wasn't going to yield anything. But yeah, try to hide stuff.
We talked to 36 people. Could have been any one of them. It's like, he called me.
That's where I always am like, when stories come out and they're like, we have 8 sources. I'm like, that's probably 7 of them are on that same side. Like, you don't need 8. You need 2.
You bring the paralegal. And it's like, my boss is
8
right.
8 guys in the same office all think the same thing. Right. Yeah. You talk. Yeah. The attorney, the assistant attorney, the paralegal, the court reporter. They all think. Oh yeah, we all think that.
But if they've all seen the same indictment, then that's fair.
It's there. It's tricky, but it's fun. It's not. It's not coal mining though.
Is it better than covering the portal?
It's better than the portal. Well, the portal's its own bit of lies.
Exactly.
You want lies.
Yeah.
I hate the portal. I hate covering that thing or any kind of free. It's just like
there's too much.
Everybody's like, we're gonna go here, and then again they just switch.
They lie. Yeah.
Recruiting was crazy because it's
at least
the same
with
thing
free agency. You just ask Pat Boris, right, or Scott Boris.
You have to have a good relationship with the right agent or the right deal. But even back covering just old school reporting, like you've seen these kids. Yeah, they're going to go to State, and then they get the hats in front, and then they put on Ohio State. I said State, and so you can be wrong, and you look. It's just being wrong. I just think gets in. It's just like, oh no.
How many portal kids or athletes? Shouldn't use kids because they're getting paid now.
Yeah.
But how many of them have agents? Because I keep seeing tweets like per their
almost
agent.
all of them.
Almost all of them?
Yeah.
And so that used to cost you eligibility.
But the guy's going from SCS to FBS.
They always deserved an agent. That was one of the NCAA's worst rules. Every adult deserves the right to representation.
Yeah.
And the NCAA somehow made it illegal to have representation. I had no idea. Even 30 years ago, I was like, that's...
Well, they didn't want them to be bagmen.
The coach didn't want to have to deal with it. So they just...
Bo chased him out of Ann Arbor.
How do you ban yourself from having an attorney?
Yeah.
How is that? And I get it.
You also run into those situations like, well, my brother's an attorney. He's going to represent me.
Some of the agents are terrible. I mean, they're just the kid down the hall or the parent. The parents try to do it. Yeah, it's the agents. You have an agent. But yeah, pretty much all of them.
Really? It's such a... It's
not all. A lot of kids actually just show up and whatever the deal's going to be. They don't negotiate. Most kids don't have a lot of negotiation room. It's
well, I mean, outside of the Sorsbys or
the Sorsbys, I mean, that's a $5 million deal. Yeah, you better have an agent. You better have a lawyer. You better have all this stuff.
That's what's funny because Underwood got so much shit, and granted, it was different because he hadn't proved himself like Sorsby has,
and he has proved himself now
for getting $2.5 million. It's like, well, this is going to be like the NFL, where the next guy's going to get more and then more.
Yeah, and I don't even know what I don't know what his was like
is.
A multi-year, and this incentives, like how much. But then there's stuff like schools would do stuff. I saw one of these contracts. A school would say, okay, you're going to get, the kid believes I'm going to get I'm going to go to the school. I'm going to get an apartment and like a $70,000 car. Okay. And what they got was use of a $70,000 car during the season.
What?
So the car dealer lets the kid drive around in a car. He didn't get, but he's sitting there going, I got 70 grand here. And then, no, you didn't. You got
during the season. Is he like, well, yeah, but the season is, spring practice.
Well,
and
whatever. But if you
meetings
leave, you don't drive out of town in your new car that you then sell on Carvana for 48 grand. You didn't get anything. You didn't own it. You didn't own an apartment. You didn't own. So you need to, if you're a top guy, you should negotiate. Yeah. But a lot of the guys, like there's 3 types of transfers. There's the ones that are moving up because they've proven themselves and they want that opportunity. And a lot of those kids are not in a position to negotiate. They're coming from Akron or
Houston
Ferris
Christian.
State. Yes. And they get in a shot. Michigan State's like, look, man, we'll take you. You play on our D line. We got 200 grand for you. Scholarship. Boom. Okay. Maybe you can ask for 10% more, like a normal job, right? You ask for a little bit more. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't, but they're like, we got a ton of guys. Like we're gonna fill up our spots. You're not you're not good.
Nick Marsh,
right? You're not Nick Marsh, but so boom, there's your deal, and you just take it. A third of them are moving down because they're getting replaced. They weren't good enough. And the new coach comes in, or the coach like, I'm bringing in 4 guys at your position.
Yeah.
You're not going to play. So now you're the Michigan kid going, I want to go, and you're calling Akron. And they're like, man, we only got
Central Florida, who took a couple Spartans.
Right. Whatever you're going to take, but we got $35,000 for you. And this is it. You're not making, so that's like 2/3 at least of the portal. Then there's another third that are just more, they're just moving around for the sake of whatever they're doing. Yeah. But the vast majority of the portal, it's kind of, and so you have these top guys. Nick Marsh was a desired player.
What does Nick Marsh approximately get? Like
maybe a
million?
Yeah. But he could have got the $1 million staying at Michigan State.
More importantly,
so it's not like Michigan State wasn't going to try to re-sign him. He's a great player and a local recruit. He's important. He's sitting there saying, I just did 2 years of crap. I believed in this program. We did nothing. I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Yeah, Fitz is good, but I go to Indiana. I can play in a playoff. I can win. Google me. I can go to the NFL.
They have a great quarterback.
They're going to bring in a quarterback. So was it? Did Indiana outbid Michigan State? I doubt it. But either way, he's making good money.
So then the other aspect of this whole portal thing that I find fascinating is that. And I think either Biff Poggi or Whittingham, one of them said it. I think Whittingham might have said it out loud, where these negotiations are already going on before the portal opens.
Sure.
So is this Nick Marsh thing, like, when would that have started? Does that start during the season?
Well, they're not allowed to. Well, so it's more like,
it's college football.
I think it's more like, you either have someone who has a relationship with that agent, and you let them know, look, we want to be involved in this, and we know the basic parameters. Mm-hmm. The same way you would in the
This
NBA.
is the way I would date. I'm like, does your friend like me? Because I kind of like your friend, but I haven't asked her to the prom yet.
I don't want to waste any time.
If she's going to say no, just tell me. And
do you have a car? No, I don't have a car, but I got a bus pass. That ain't going to cut it. I'm out, right?
I know tampering.
Or she's fine with the bus. Okay, all right. I got
buck teeth and Coke bottle glasses and looking for a date, and she's got a dress. So
there's a lot of that the same way. So you might try to feel it out. Then it's agents, but it's also like, this is why I think the tampering rules are stupid. Everything in life is tampering. Everything in life is tampering, right? You could just be like, hey, if you ever have an opening, you can work at McDonald's and be like, if the Burger King ever got a job open, I'd love to go over there, right? You tell your friend, or hey, we might have an opening. Would you be interested? Everyone does it. So you have that.
LSU waited for the Old Miss season to be over before they contacted
coaches tamper
Lane
their ass
Kiffin.
Off. They're all looking for jobs. And then, okay, let's take a powerhouse Cass Tech, right? Or King High School in Detroit. Sure. So
Dante Moore,
right? Great player. Sauce Gardner. Like King's got tons of guys. Yeah. Great program. Great coaches down there. Great community. They got a terrific program. And so they get a lot of kids go. And they come out. Now, if you work at Michigan State, right? You are calling the coach at King High School. You're trying to get that guy on the phone every week, because eventually you're trying to get some of his guys. You may not get Dante Moore, but you might get this guy. You might not get that guy. And like, who do you know? So you're always talking to them. And then you sit there and say, I mean, obviously in this case, it wouldn't be it, but like, how Dante like the West Coast, boy, if he ever was homesick, man, I always wanted to coach that kid. Always want, and it's like, are you tampering, or are you just checking in and being like, man, I love that kid. I wish if he ever wanted to move back home, that'd be awesome.
I still talk to Freddie, because Freddie's a great kid.
What a great kid. If
I had 2 Freddies on my program, we'd be paying for national.
And you just happen to know Freddie only played 3 snaps.
And we have $1 million
Saturday.
for those Freddies.
Yeah, and Freddie didn't get the ball thrown to him on Saturday. So maybe Freddie's like, I'm trying to make the league.
He'd be featured in our offense.
But I had suspected that this just goes on all year round.
All year round. They're all friends. You're recruiting. You're working because camps. You can't. That's why someone's tampering. Like, get over yourself. That is life. Someone's tampering. Everyone's tampering with everything.
Well, I mean, you'll point the finger because they're doing it better than you. They're tampering better than you.
That is the type of stuff the NCAA wastes enormous energy trying to police. That is a natural human emotion. A natural human behavior is, we're going to have that discussion. Right. They used to get really fired up over.
I call it daydreaming.
They had this thing called the bump. You were allowed to, if you ran into, so let's say there's a great player at East Lansing High, and his dad, you go into the pizza shop on Friday night to
Just
pick up
don't pay
pizza,
for his cheeseburger.
and you see his dad. Are you allowed to say hello? Are you allowed to say what kind of pizza? There was like, they tried to legislate, like, just whatever, man.
Well, like Harbaugh and his cheeseburger. He walks in for carry out, sees him there, pays for his food.
Or Izzo doing that cheer.
You're not buying that, Dan?
one.
Come on.
But, you know, that was, no. There were COVID rules. You weren't allowed to talk to anyone. You weren't allowed to host.
That's a little different.
They broke the rules. But, like, they would try to legislate, like, you're allowed to do a warm but not too formal greeting and a firm hand. Like, what is this crap? Like, just let people be people. Like, dude, hey, I saw Jimmy eating 3 touchdowns the other night. This is fantastic, man. Good to see you. Great having. Enjoy the pizza. I'm out, right? Like, is that what's going to flip this whole thing? And it's not fair to Ohio State because this kid's in East Lansing. Well, they got a kid.
In
they got a
Columbus,
pizza.
yeah.
It'll even out. The deals will even out.
So, okay, going forward, just prediction. Will they ever make athletes in college employees? Because that would solve a lot of the ills. It's not going to solve tampering. It's not going to solve a lot of things, but it will.
Yeah, I think there's more realization.
It'll
that's
slow the portal
what has to
down
go.
because that'd be part
You
of the
could do
bargaining.
contracts. The problem they have is they've waited so long. They fought this. They always are fighting the last battle. Amateurism. Amateurism was almost obviously dead in 2014 when the NCAA lost the case against Ed O'Bannon.
Oh, yeah.
When Ed O'Bannon
EA
was
Sports,
like, that's me in the video game. Yeah. It's my number. I'm bald. I'm lefty. I play for UCLA. What the hell, man?
I'm still mad. I'm still mad at him for ending EA Sports.
They argued, no, it isn't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, it's and they fought and fought. But the problem is now, the power is all in the players. Players always want 1 year free agency.
So why would they want to be employees?
So even if you make them employees, are they going to? Everyone's like, just employee and then collective bargain. They'll agree to all our rules now. Well, I don't know that they're gonna. Why would you? Because
you might want a pension. You might want
you're gonna have to
long-term health care. Sure, and
you're gonna have to give a lot up.
Give up portal moving, right? I think that would be
you
one.
would cut the portal moving down.
Yeah.
But players like the movement because they can dictate how their situation is. Are they people don't think about what was wrong before. There were so many kids that would go to a school and get buried on that depth chart, and never got to play, or their position coach left, and like there's so many.
The system changed.
The old system was the system.
I'm a dual threat quarterback. Now we're drop back pro style.
Right, I'm out, now I'm like, oh well, I can't really leave, and so I'm doing this. And it's like, well, was it so bad that you just left and then you went to Miami, Ohio and graduated from there and gotten a grad degree in your last year of eligibility? Like, is this so horrible about life that and maybe the coaches, these coaches are crazy, right? I mean, what if you were a believer in Sherrone Moore and he just does this to you? And in the old days, you just had to take it.
Yeah.
You had to take it, and you're like, this guy, I didn't do anything. He did it.
Well, coaches and affairs, this is not a unique
this has been
situation
going on a long
at
time.
all.
But I know a guy whose kid played mid-major college hockey, and he was a senior, and they brought a new coach, and he's like, my kid's never going to play because the new coach brought all his guys in. I knew a women's soccer girl one year in, and the coach said in like June, playing time, you're not going to play next year. I got these other kids. She had to find a new school in 6 weeks, and it's like she didn't want to leave.
Wow.
No,
but that's how it is, and so it's okay then, or nobody tells that story either because it makes the player look like it doesn't help them in the portal. You need to
you have no leverage, right?
Right. You don't want to sit there and say, "Hey, I got those little messages that they put out."
Yeah.
Right? Wolverine for life and all that. They can't be like, coach thinks I suck and I'm not going to play and I don't work hard enough. I'm now entering the portal. Someone give me a scholarship, right? Yeah, so they have to be like, I'm just looking for new opportunities, right?
Yeah. Welcome to Lindenwood.
So the portal is extremely frustrating. I could get how people are just like overwhelmed by it, but if you go to each individual decision, we were talking about this sooner. If it's your kid, you're like, oh, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And because it's like, what am I supposed to do? And so what if you were that soccer player and you're like, you're not going to play, and you're like, well, I always wanted to play college soccer and I don't.
And I can't.
I can't.
Yeah.
Now I can transfer and take time, but it's just, you know.
We had Tom Tefelsky on a year or two ago, who does some sports agent and some others. His kid was a running back at Central Michigan, never was going to play. They had the one guy, Lou, there who ran for 2,000 yards the first year. Then McElwain wasn't going to put him in. He didn't fit into his system, whatever. He went in the portal. He played last 2 years at Notre Dame. He got a graduate degree from Notre Dame. So, you know, the portal, not all bad.
Not all bad, yeah.
Pretty good story for Jake
Right, and
Tefelsky.
maybe they do that, or they look for programs. Like, there are, not every kid is, like, most of these people are come from good families and have, they're like, well, if I go to this place, I can get a year, graduate, and an accounting master's or something like that and be on my way. One time I thought I'd make the NFL. I'm not. I once thought I was going to be the NBA, and I realized.
That's the one thing that drives me nuts about college athletics. People look at it and go, they don't even care about school. I'm like, well, yeah, the top echelon, the cream.
Maybe not.
They probably don't, but the majority of athletes.
How many kids did I go to school with that didn't care about school?
Shit.
Yeah, but you didn't go to those kids for 7 years who'd taken English Lit 101 19 times on 14 different campuses.
I remember I had a class with Robert Trailer, so he actually did go to a class and sat and ate like 4 candy bars the whole
Trailer,
time.
man.
I did not pay attention to the presentation by the professor
Love
that day.
that guy.
I just watched him going, how many candy bars is this guy going to eat in one sitting? This is great.
Yeah, try and move him out of the post.
Yeah,
he was incredible.
Well, hey, Dan Wetzel,
Appreciate
ESPN,
it.
thanks for taking your vacation with us.
Hey.
And you can hear Dan on the I don't know what the schedule
ESPN
is.
College Game Day podcast.
You guys are doing a
what's the
remote
schedule?
from the Great Wolf Lodge, right?
Okay,
So
I would love the Great Wolf.
The
Lodge
last two episodes were fantastic, by the way. Thought they were really, really good.
There you go. Listen up.
breaking news, breaking hearts.
I will not stand for Great Wolf Lodge. Treated me well. I heard there's a swim up bar at one of the ones. I was in Sandusky for a soccer tournament and someone said then it's either Great Wolf Lodge or Kalahari has a swim up bar. I go, that sounds great and absolutely awful. Like, I don't think this. I'd never been at one of those where I felt the parents weren't drunk enough.
Yeah, no. How many?
Like, I never got there and was like, boy, there's not enough alcohol consumption here.
Yeah, how many?
Just
how
throw
many
bottles in the water.
How many bloated Uncle Freds are they scraping off the filter on that
Somebody's
pool?
got a swim up bar in Sandusky.
Yeah, well, that's just what I want. A slob who's drunk vomiting in a hot tub. That's
Kid flies off of
The chlorine kills it.
yeah.
It's all good.
All right. Hey, thanks,
Thanks,
Dan.
Dan.
Great to see you.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
Before we get to this week's Geek, I want to tell you a little bit about Luke Nowacki, who just set up a couple of Roth IRAs for my daughters.
Ooh.
That's right. Because if you can't decide if a vocalist is a member of a group or not, or you believe that your glove box is the correct storage place for your birth certificate, should you really be trusted with something complex like preparing your investments to provide for the rest of your life? When you sober up enough for your phone to recognize your face and unlock, call or text Luke Nowacki at 248-663-4748. That's 248-663-4748. He did the math, and Led Zeppelin is clearly a 4-piece, and Green Day is a 3-piece. And if you call Luke, he'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. member FINRA SIPC.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc.
Having great journalists like Dan Wetzel on the show reminds me of one of the greatest journalism sayings I've ever heard. It was by a columnist at Newsday, which is the big newspaper on Long Island. His name's Murray Kempton. He's dead now. He's kind of a quirky guy. Used to ride his bike everywhere because it's Long Island. You could do that. Anyways, he had a saying that said, there's no excuse for kicking somebody when they're down. Having said that, I'm going to make...
All right, who are you kicking?
The New York Jets, who are always down.
What is a cheap shot?
Well, and I'm kicking them because they tried to ban a longtime fan who participated in their halftime field goal contest, or she was chosen to participate in it. You could win $100,000. And what ended up happening was Ashley Castellano-Gervasi, boy, talk about a Long Island name if ever there was one. She's a high school soccer coach on Long Island, lifelong Jets supporter, and she had been told that she was no longer eligible for the team's Kick for Cash promotion because of her coaching status. Apparently,
oh, come on.
There's some little fine print that said you can't have some, I guess, aptitude for kicking a football.
Okay.
Or any
This reminds me
ball.
of two stories. If I can interject here, because
Please.
I already am. Wetzel, who was here, talked to a kid who I want to say was at a Purdue game, and he kicked the ball, and they said, nope, it doesn't count because the clock had already gone to 0 when he kicked it right at 0. They went to the tape, and the uproar was so bad about it, they eventually relented, and they got the Toyota or whatever it was to the kid. They did the right thing in the end. The other one it makes me think of is Joey Morasso, who we all know.
Oh, yeah.
Love Joe. His brother kicked at Wayne State and was chosen to kick the field goal for the Lions game and nailed it, just drilled it because he was a college kicker. So
and
it's
did he win anything?
Yes. They didn't have a rule against being a former college kicker. So what is wrong with the Jets?
Well, apparently the Jets said that she was disqualified because the rules prohibit current or recent coaches in soccer, football, or rugby from participating in the promotion for insurance reasons. Now, I imagine it's not insurance that would protect their safety, but probably insurance that says if some idiot actually hits it, we got to pay out the $100,000.
Yeah.
So she qualified for this by kicking a 20-yard field goal at a Jet-sponsored tailgate in October. She's told, listen, hey, you can't do this. But she said she disclosed her college soccer background and her coaching role during the qualification process and was never told you can't do this when they scheduled her. So
I'm on Team Ashley.
Yeah, so she said that this $100,000 prize, which was sponsored by Hellman's, would be life-changing if she won it, and that she planned to use anything she won towards buying a home, and here's the kicker.
Yeah.
A lot of kicking analogies here. Supporting cancer-related charities. So the Jets we wouldn't want to have anything to do with that.
So are they doing the right thing, or are they suing her, or is she suing them?
Well, it gets even worse.
Oh, no.
So she said the opportunity carried particular meaning because she's attempting to kick in memory of her father, a devoted Jets fan who died.
At 9/11?
Esophageal cancer in 2011.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
She should also kick for 9/11 survivors.
Well, they family continued to attend games together after he died as kind of one of the things they did together. They raised tons of money for cancer education. Anyways, the Jets find themselves, it's not like
just do the right thing.
They're the worst team and horrible and always screw shit up. With this storm of bad publicity,
which it's funny, it's probably not even the Jets. It's probably the insurance company
or Hellman's. They just say, "Hey, man, we want our name on this."
But now the Jets are going to have to, do the right thing, which is good. They should do the right thing, and then pay extra to the American Cancers.
Exactly, or do a matching thing. You don't think the owner $100,000 is a rounding error. They've wasted millions of dollars on quarterbacks. So you can't fight anyway.
They need some cornerbacks. Yeah.
They changed their mind and they said they would allow her to kick.
Okay, and then hope she misses it.
and because I was on vacation, I don't know whether she did or not. But so if you've been keeping up with this, folks, and you want us to know how it went, let us know. But Jets, we're kicking you while you're down because you're always down. We don't have any other time to kick you. You're our Geek of the Week.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
I had an impromptu Geek of the Week that I passed on, but I just can't resist. When I was driving here on 696, which is a mess, I passed a guy driving a pretty fancy-looking SUV, and when I passed it, I realized it was a Lamborghini SUV. If you want a Lambo,
those are sweet.
Why are you getting an SUV? Come on,
cool.
dude.
They're still pretty cool.
I don't know. That blows the whole... I remember when Porsche came up with an SUV, I was like... I don't know, man. If I want a Porsche, I want it. But then they were kind of cool looking. But then the GM, who I had a disagreement with at Fox 2, drove a a Porsche SUV. So I'm back to if you want a sports car, don't get the SUV version.
You want the update on Ashley Castellanos?
Oh, yes, I do.
33. So she was invited.
Nailed it. No. Yes, please.
I'm going to read you the whole story.
Oh, okay.
My husband said to me right before, money is money, but you can never put a price on the way you're going to feel during this experience. So they did a whole interview with her. Being a diehard Jets fans, getting on that field, being in the tunnel, it was awesome. There's such a roar to cheer for me because, of course, the fans were going ape shit because they knew the story. So it was a 30-yard kick for cash.
Oh, no.
It was totally on target.
Oh.
But apparently way short.
Oh, dear.
So she missed.
Did she get like 50 grand?
I don't know if she got, there's a picture of her right there.
Okay.
Nice looking lady.
Yeah, I like it. She got good hair. Oh, damn. Is that her and her dead dad on the field in the one?
Yeah. Let me go back to that one.
Now, of course, you can see what I'm talking about if you're one of our Patreon subscribers. If you're one of our soulmates, you can watch the show. You get to dodge all those annoying insertion ads, and you get to stick with us when we both show these great graphics. Kick in the gut.
I know. There's the cover for the Post that day. Kick in the gut.
Yeah, kind of a weak headline for the Post. They always come up with such great ones. Like one of the greatest of all times. I'm sure Drew's favorite. Beat the Beatles. When they had the story about how the Beatles used to masturbate together.
Oh, really? Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, the headline was "Beat the Beatles," which was, and they had the Fab Four on there. But anyway.
None of the there were multiple kickers, by the way. None of them made the kick.
Good form though. Look at that.
Yeah, not too bad.
She's ripping it. But anyway, the other thing you can do if you're a soulmate and watching us is you can watch the video for Room 7609. And this week we picked a special video because. Well, the artist is new wave, which Sean wouldn't like, but he's soft, which Sean might like. But Erica's trying to overcome a little bug, and Sean has been laid up. We may tell you more about that, but if you haven't been reading his stuff, I know you're missing his stuff in the free press like I do.
I would call him serious but stable. Is that fair?
He's responding to texts, which is good.
I talked him over the break.
Yeah. But if you are inclined to do these kind of things, and I don't want to make it sound more dramatic than it is, but say a little prayer for Sean Windsor. And of course, if you have any illicit drugs, he's probably interested in those based on his youth, as we have learned over the past several years on this show. But so in honor of Sean, we are bringing our friend, I don't know, Howard Jones. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad. His hair, always terrible. Flock of Seagulls level hair with his classic hit, Things Can Always Get Better. Or only get better.
Yep.
They can always only get better.
When I scared to lose it all, security cut through the wall. Future dreams we have to realize. 1,000 skeptic hands won't keep us from the things we plan, unless we're clinging to the things we prize. And do you feel scared? I do, but I won't stop and falter. And if we throw it all away, things can only get better. The final show. Get to 60 and you know regret. It may take a little time, a lonely path, an uphill climb. Success or failure will not alter it. And do you feel scared? I do, but I won't stop and falter. And if we throw it all away, things can only get better. Whoa, 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 whoa.
a feeling I'm going to be walking around all day going,
I struggle with Howard Jones because I think, as an artist, he's pretty good. He has some good poppy songs. I think he's...
What are some of his... I don't even know.
Entertaining. I'm drawing a blank.
I'll look him up.
There's one song, You Know I Love You, Don't You? That I think is the best Howard Jones song. And there's this great line in there where he says, no man is an island on that you can depend, and a man on his own is a sinking ship. It will be that way till the very end, which I think is really, really poignant. Yeah, so I really like, but, he brought into that whole, let me be a clown, the ridiculous hair, the shiny orange, silk suit, and the video, our soulmates know
corny.
this, but Charlie Chaplin's in your video. Dude, you have a karate guy who's hitting himself in the head with nunchucks or nunchaka.
Well, things will be better.
And then he tries to break it down while you have people doing a swing dance. I mean, one of the worst videos of all time, and we've seen some horrible videos, but yeah, he's terrible. I liked, like to get to know you well. That's actually...
do I know that song?
Probably not.
Do.
I mean, not that you're deep into the Howard Jones catalog, but I think that's a little deeper cut. But that's actually a pretty catchy song, a pretty clever song. What is love? But he's...
New song?
He's... Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's not one of my favorite ones. But yeah, he's just one of those guys where it's tough to take him seriously because... The hair was so ridiculous. I mean, same thing with Flock of Seagulls. Some of their stuff isn't bad.
He still has hair, but it's not nearly as big.
Yeah, no, it's tough to support that level of hair. Which reminds me, there's this great story that the Smiths tell. I think it was Mike Joyce or Andy Rourke, that when they went on Top of the Pops, they were following Paul Young, who we've played on here, great bass player, Pino Palladino, and he has one of these blue-eyed soul guys from England. Great singer. But the Smiths were kind of famously down market. They'd go onto these shows wearing jeans, and whatever, T-shirt, and they were getting ready to go on after Paul Young, and Paul Young's band was coming off the stage. And they're wearing these wide, shouldered outfits, and their hair is all poofed up like 6 feet above their head with hairspray, and they're wearing all these flashy outfits, and like, oh shit, are we in the right place? And the costumes they were wearing were so outrageous that they could barely fit through the hallway to get backstage. And like, well, we're on, so they just went out, and of course they killed, but that's the way it was in the 80s, man.
Just let Sean know things will get better.
Things can only get better.
Yes, that's right. Can't get much worse.
You want to talk about a positive prognosis? There you go. Yeah. And of course, we love your stories and your songs. So please, we had a nice backlog we worked through at the end of the year. Some great stories, some great suggestions. Please help us load up for the new year. Send us your songs and, more importantly, your stories to mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. Room 7609 is best when you do the booking. That's what Sean and Marc always tell me, and Eric's too polite to say it. But
that lessens your workload.
Yeah, well, I'm just
thinking of you.
I just love the stories people come up with. Yeah. I mean, music means so much to people, and how they associate songs with experiences and people. Yeah. It's really great. So, the best part of this show is you. So here's a great chance for you to weigh in. So please send your songs and suggestions now.
Mm-hmm.
Marc, I do have a little good news in terms of our financial support. So if we have a little music for the occasion to raise the level for those people who are raising some dough from us, we made an appeal at the end of the year because, as you know, we're down a sponsor, which means this is becoming more of a hobby than a side hustle. And some folks stepped up. This doesn't mean that everybody else is off the hook. The rest of you dirt bags can come up with $5 a month, or pretty much any amount. But Zach McLaughlin jumped up and said, "Keep up the great work, ML and crew. I love listening to you guys. Whatever the topic, it's always interesting and fun. Love Room 7609 too. Love from Ontario." And Ontario is for lovers. So thanks, Zach. Alberto Tapia says, "Mary, keep it going." So thank you very much for your support. We're saving up for a cough button, so maybe that's coming in the new year.
My God.
Also, Peg McNichol made a very generous donation. We really appreciate that. Dan Linick stepped up. Dan, thank you so much. Val Lamb, great to have you in the Soulmates. Thank you for support. And 76 Verge, very generous donation. We really appreciate that. So thank you. It's your support that keeps us coming back week after week. And we hope more of you will become Soulmates. We're coming up with some new premiums for our Soulmates in the coming year. But of course, you get to watch the show. You get it before anybody else. You get to avoid all those annoying insertion ads that do help pay the bills a little bit. And you get our monthly bonus episodes. Now, over the holidays, Marc crammed a couple of those bonus episodes together for the last 2 episodes of the year. So if you're wondering, what am I missing in these bonus episodes? You're missing a lot. I mean, great stories about the mob from Scott Bernstein. Neil Rubin, one of the most talented storytellers in Detroit journalism history, telling some of his greatest hits. Bernie Smilovitz, how he got his start in journalism, and what a crazy
Bernie's stories were great.
Origin story.
I re-listened to it, and I was like, God, this is a really good interview.
Oh, me too. The phone call, and then all of a sudden he's got a big scoop working the night desk in Washington, D.C. I mean, amazing stories that you're only going to hear, folks.
Yep.
And then John Keating also telling some great stories. And, of course, you can catch more of Keats on the Keats and Ozzy podcast. But, just wait for him to come back on our show. You don't need to step out on us as you will, as you may, as you shouldn't. So those bonus episodes come every month. We're working on January's. Next week, guest, by the way, big one.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited about this.
We're hoping to have Rob Walchek, who's retiring from Fox 2. We're hoping to have him on the show, and we're hoping to also cut a bonus episode with some of his great stories that you'll only hear here. So please, never better time than now to become a soulmate. Make that your resolution. Do it today. There we go. Hit the
nice timing.
Reverse post. So we have just a little bit of feedback catching up from the holidays. Janet says, curious if ML and Sean consider Spartans Mike Valente and Rico Beard on 97.1 to be reporters. What does reporter even mean in 2025? I mean, anyone with a podcast and Twitter account can be a reporter, right? And she uses an example.
Could, but yeah.
Justin Spear, also known as Darko.
He broke news.
State News. Yeah, he's one of the guys, like we were talking earlier with Dan Wetzel, who may put a lot of stuff up before anybody else, but may not always have it locked down. But he does break a lot of news, and if you're looking for hot takes from East Lansing, holy crap, this guy is, he's Frank's hot sauce on steroids. The reason Janet asks is because Valente went scorched earth on his radio and print reporter peers for covering up the Coach Moore open secret scandal for months, if not for over a year. Now, I think we had addressed that earlier in the show, but she says he basically called them all foot soldier propagandists and cowards for the so-called Blue Wall, even naming top hosts at his own radio station.
Well, first and foremost, they're entertainers.
Yeah.
And they're entertaining.
She says, I thought that was pretty rich coming from a guy with an MSU journalism school degree who makes 10 times the salary of the average U of M beat reporter with 100 times the audience and connections at the highest levels. Why didn't he and Rico have the stones to scoop this? Rico also has media degrees from MSU and is an adjunct professor at Lawrence Tech. I agree with him that there was clearly some sort of media cover-up going on, but Mike and Rico were just as if not more complicit as the little guys on the beat and even student reporters at Michigan Daily. Merry Christmas, Jen. Of course, we're catching up. Well, I think we addressed most of that. And I think that Valente's smart. I think he's entertaining. But let me tell you a little something about who the cowards are. Mike, you ever go in a locker room after you blow somebody up? Mike, you ever go on the sidelines? Mike, you ever go to a press conference? Mike, you ever go one-on-one with one of the people you're flaming? I don't think you do. And in fact, I've heard him say that I intentionally avoid all that stuff, I guess to preserve his objectivity. Well, a lot of my colleagues and a lot of the guys at the Detroit News and some of the other sports reporters in broadcast media, they tell the hard stories and then they face the harsh music. So it's really easy to sit in the cheap seats and throw grenades. Or as Janet points out, if you knew it, why didn't you break the story? You guys are pretty wired. So you can kiss my ass, Valente. Rico, I really like and have a lot of respect for. But you guys want to take shots at us? Hey, if you had the story, you break it, pal. but you didn't. And we explained to you why sometimes it takes a little time to get the news out there, because when we report it, it's news. It's not some shit we heard that somebody whispered to us or that we saw on a blog. So Janet, great question. I think we've probably covered it ad nauseum, but I do want to acknowledge somebody who works at 97.1, who I do consider a real reporter, and someone who, I'm sorry to say, broke some bad news just today. That's Pat Caputo. The book on sports. The S on my chest stands for objectivity. How does he explain that? But it's not for Spartan. He announced that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. If you know anybody who's been afflicted by this, very few people beat this horrible condition. But Pat went to the practices. Pat knew the coaches. If you ever listen to Pat, his stories about the one-on-ones with Sparky Anderson in his office at Tiger Stadium, epic. And another one of our friends who was gone too soon, Pat, God forgive me, I'm a little overcome here, but Killer. Tom Kowalski. Kowalski and Caputo going at it on the radio. Yep. Those were some epic battles. Both
worked at the Oakland Press.
Yeah, iconic sports columnists and beat reporters. They didn't always agree. And when they would go at it, man, that was a heavyweight clash that was way more entertaining than anything involving Jake Paul. But we hope that Pat's going to be one of those guys who beats the odds. But when he has a hot take, he's faced the harsh music. He's stood up to what he's written, and he's stood behind his work. And I've always had a lot of respect for him. I've enjoyed listening to him. I know a lot of people say he's not the most polished broadcaster. But he knows what he's talking about. When you want to talk about...
I liked his voice.
Distinctive voice. Everybody's got a Caputo. Yeah, everybody's got a Caputo imitation. So do I consider that guy at 97.1 a reporter? Absolutely. And not just a reporter, but one of the best. So I hope that Pat has got some good news ahead. But regardless of what happens next for him, his body of work speaks for itself. It is epic. And I miss him on the air. I hope he'll be back, but we only have the best in our hearts and souls for what we hope is next for the book. And even though he is a big Spartan, he'd roast the Spartans too. So I think he liked roasting the Wolverines as well. But we're hoping for the best for Pat. Yeah. So Marc, I think big show coming up next week. It was great to have Dan here. We like to take it behind the scenes. Dan's terrific. You follow him at ESPN. He's never going on vacation, so you should probably check the site every day. And as Marc mentioned, he's got a new podcast. Good stuff, so check that out too. Of course, after you listen to our show and after you listen to the Drew Lane show and after you catch
if you like college sports and college football, it's a good one to listen to.
Listen, Dan, he works for a national news outlet, but he breaks a lot of Michigan college sports news. So definitely worth your time. We hope you'll be back with us next week. We're grateful for the new year and everything that lies ahead. Thanks for sticking with us over the holidays. And until next week, we turn to our friend Cyrus to take us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
This year,
let Dan Wetzel
light up your holiday.
Ward Manuel's Last Christmas in Ann Arbor?
That thing had 9 lives. She just spent them all.
Woo!